Welcome back. So, for the last 3 parts, we've been following Janita's journey through this massive county lines crisis. Today, in our final installment, we're going to hit the toughest challenge yet. What do you do when the pressure isn't coming from the outside, but from a powerful ally, someone inside your own camp?
Right. After 3 incredibly long days of meticulously rebuilding her team's morale, Janita kicks off day 4 by opening this email. It's from Helen Bartlett, a key head teacher, a major player. And just like that, with a couple of sentences, everything Janita has worked so hard to build is about to come crashing down. And this really sets the stage for our central question today. How on earth do you lead? How do you keep your team motivated and feeling safe when you're getting this intense pressure from a colleague you absolutely need to have on your side? Janita gets it immediately. The tools that got her here, they're not going to get her through this. Understanding what her team needs, figuring out what makes them tick, that's one thing. But trying to keep that alive when a powerful figure inside the organization is creating conflict and fear, well, that's a whole different ballgame. She needs a new playbook. Okay, so let's get into this new toolkit. To handle this incredibly tricky situation, Janita pulls from 3 really powerful modern frameworks. And honestly, these are the ideas that are going to take her leadership to a completely different level. First up, we've got Daniel Pink's drive. Pink's big idea is that for complicated creative work, which this crisis definitely is, the old carrot and stick approach just doesn't work. What really drives people is intrinsic motivation. That comes from 3 things. Autonomy, which is the desire to direct our own lives. Mastery, the urge to get better at something that matters. And purpose, the need to do what we do for a reason bigger than ourselves. Next is Simon Sinek's circle of safety, and this is such a powerful concept. A leader's #1 job is to build a bubble of trust and safety inside the team so that everybody can band together to face the dangers outside. And what's key is that Sinek says a crisis doesn't make this a nice to have, it makes it absolutely non-negotiable. And finally, there's Peter Senge's idea of the learning organization. Senge's work shows us that the organizations that actually survive and thrive aren't the ones that just try to look perfect and hide their mistakes. No, they're the ones that are obsessed with learning from a crisis, questioning everything, and actually getting stronger because of it. So, armed with these new ideas, Janita goes to meet Helen. And she realizes right away that Helen is coming from a totally different place, a fundamentally opposite mindset. This is where the real leadership begins. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you have Helen's mindset, which is all about performance. Her instinct is to protect the school's reputation, make sure no one admits to any mistakes, and just control the story. But Janita knows they need a learning orientation. They have to admit where the gaps are, learn from what went wrong, and actually fix the system for the long haul. Now, Janita doesn't go in there and argue, she doesn't attack. Instead, she uses Sinek's framework as a way to see the problem together. She explains to Helen that when you react to outside pressure by creating inside pressure, by blaming people or hiding information, you completely destroy that circle of safety. People clam up, they hide problems, and the whole organization actually gets weaker. And this is the critical reframe that Janita offers. She says, look, being open about our screw-ups isn't a weakness we need to hide, it's a strategic asset. It shows that you have honest, resilient leadership, which, by the way, is exactly what the regulators and the board actually want to see in a crisis. It proves you're capable of learning. And she doesn't just leave it as an abstract idea. She hands Helen a concrete plan. This presentation outline, it's a masterclass in this learning mindset. Notice, it's about facts, not blame. It's about system failures, not finger pointing at people. This turns a story of failure into a powerful story of responsible leadership. So with Helen finally on board, Janita's next move is just as important. She has to take that same idea of psychological safety that she just offered Helen and extend it to her own team, who are absolutely running on fumes. And she does it with this direct, explicit promise. She looks her team in the eye and tells them she will be their shield. The external pressure stops with her. It's not going to turn into internal blame or fear. This isn't just some nice corporate talk. This is a declaration that rebuilds trust and lets the team finally focus on the real enemy outside. So once that foundation of safety is there, Janita then uses Pink's framework to reignite each person's individual fire. For Dev, who's driven by getting things done, she gives him autonomy over the whole process. For Lisa, who needs to grow, she gives her a mastery challenge. And for Amara, who was feeling sidelined, she connects her to a powerful sense of purpose. She's dialing into exactly what each of them needs. So, did all this theory actually work? Well, the impact was immediate. At the start of all this, Janetta was terrified her key safeguarding staff would quit in droves. After she made these changes, not a single one left. Zero. And then look at this survey data. In week 1, under that old high-pressure model, only 20% of the team felt supported. Fast forward 4 weeks, after Janita built that circle of safety, and that number jumps to a staggering 78%. Now, this next number might seem a little weird at first, but it's probably the most important one of all. A 40% increase in staff raising concerns. That means the circle of safety is working. It means people are no longer afraid to put their hands up and say, hey, I think we have a problem here. They feel safe enough to catch things early. So, after this whole messy, chaotic 4-part journey, what's the ultimate lesson here? What's the fundamental truth about leadership that this crisis brought to the surface?
You know, this timeline of Janita's own learning really shows that leadership isn't some fixed trait you're born with. In week 1, she realized one-size-fits-all was a disaster. By weeks 2 and 3, she was getting more sophisticated. But the real game changer was week 4, when she learned that to face the fire outside, you first have to make it safe inside. It's a process.
And her team member, Lisa, just sums up the entire thing with this one perfect question. It's this beautiful, counterintuitive truth that's sitting right at the heart of this whole story. And that really is the fundamental choice every leader has to make. When the pressure is on, your gut, your survival instinct, is screaming at you. Tighten your grip, protect your image, do not admit weakness. But all the evidence and everything Janita just went through proves that the right answer is to do the exact opposite.
And that really brings us to this profound shift in thinking. See, true leadership isn't about being the invincible hero who rides in with all the answers. It's about being the architect, the person who creates the conditions, the safety, the trust, the purpose that lets everyone else be brilliant and resilient together.
So, as we wrap up this whole series, this is the question we want to leave you with. In those moments when everything is on the line, what does your gut tell you to do? And what does the evidence say you should do? Because that gap, the gap between your instinct and your intellect, that's where leadership is truly forged.